"Want some coffee?" Emma asked. "No time. I'll grab breakfast at work," Jack replied, avoiding her gaze. Emma, puzzled by his persistent refusal to eat at home, offered, "I made pancakes, your favourite. Should I pack them for you?" Her offer was met with Jack's exasperated sigh. "Emma, I'm not a kid needing packed lunches. I don't eat pancakes anymore. They're unhealthy. Our cafeteria has better options, and you should watch out with those pancakes too, for your own good." Jack swiftly packed his bag with vital documents and gave himself a final mirror check, straightening his tie and smoothing imaginary creases in his trousers. Pleased with his appearance, he grabbed his essentials and, with a brief, detached, "I'm off, don't wait up," left for his meeting. As he drove away, Emma lingered at the window, her finger idly circling her mug's rim. She stared long after he disappeared, his recent comments about her figure echoing in her mind. At 38, Emma knew she wasn't the slim, vibrant youth of her past. But unlike others obsessed with beauty regimens, she found contentment in her simple home care. She pondered her life as a housewife, the cooking, cleaning, the quiet lulls of inactivity. Sure, she wasn't as active, but she felt a quiet defiance against the need to conform to external beauty standards. Jack's ascent in the medical field began at a prestigious university. His days and nights were consumed by studies, clinical rotations, and research, each step meticulously calculated to propel him towards his ultimate goal, a career in high-end, lucrative medical practice. Upon graduation, despite his impressive credentials, Jack found himself working in a public hospital. This was a world apart from the gleaming facilities and affluent patients he had envisioned treating. The hospital, bustling and overcrowded, served a community grappling with a myriad of health issues, many born from systemic social and economic inequalities. Jack, though proficient and respected, felt a growing sense of not belonging. He yearned for a setting that matched his ambitions, where success was not just about patient care, but also about prestige and financial reward. It was in the hectic corridors of this public hospital that Jack met Emma. She was a patient, battling a minor yet nagging condition. Emma, with her gentle demeanor and warmth, was a preschool teacher who found joy in the simplest things: a child's laughter, the stories they shared, and the purity of their outlook on life. She was a stark contrast to the world Jack was striving to enter. Their relationship blossomed quickly, a blend of Jack's ambitious drive and Emma's nurturing spirit. They married, creating a life together, filled with love and compromise. Emma's presence brought a sense of balance to Jack's life, grounding his soaring ambitions with her simplicity and contentment in life's little joys. However, the tranquility of their life together was soon disrupted by Jack's restless aspirations. He felt stifled, constrained by the limitations of his current role in the public hospital. His dreams beckoned him towards a larger stage, a prestigious hospital in a major city, where his talents could earn both recognition and wealth. Convincing Emma to leave her beloved job and the community she cherished was not easy. Yet her love for Jack and belief in his dreams eventually led her to agree to the move. In the sprawling city, Jack faced an unexpected struggle. His ambitions were specific. He did not envision himself in a regular hospital setting, but rather in a prestigious, exclusive medical environment. Meanwhile, Emma adapted more smoothly, securing a position at a private kindergarten. Her natural affinity for nurturing and teaching blossomed in this new setting, even as she supported Jack through his professional tumult. Emma's optimism and reassurance were the bedrocks of their life in the city. She continually instilled hope in Jack, gently nudging him to accept a temporary position at a public hospital. Reluctantly, Jack acquiesced, but the discontent simmered within him, his eyes still set on loftier goals. 2 years into their city life, a serendipitous opportunity emerged. Emma learned that her father's old army buddy, David, was now a professor at a reputable medical school. Seizing the chance, Emma reached out to him, explaining their situation and Jack's aspirations to work in a more elite clinical setting. David's response was a beacon of hope. He was more than willing to assist and used his connections to recommend Jack to a renowned and exclusive private clinic. This clinic was everything Jack had dreamed of. State-of-the-art facilities, a clientele of high social standing, and a team renowned for their medical expertise and groundbreaking research. The opportunity was a turning point. Jack's entry into this clinic marked the beginning of a new chapter in his career. He was finally in an environment where he felt his skills and ambitions were both recognized and rewarded. The prestige and financial benefits that came with the position were significant, aligning perfectly with his long-held aspirations. Jack's career flourished at the clinic. Owen, one of the founders of the clinic, mentored him. Jack and Emma's life transformed dramatically. His rapid ascent within the clinic's hierarchy not only brought professional satisfaction, but also substantial financial rewards. Soon, they found themselves in a world of affluence, with a beautiful house and luxury cars, a stark contrast to their earlier, more modest living. With this newfound wealth, Jack suggested that Emma quit her job. He argued that his income was more than enough to support them both, and he preferred her to focus on their home. Emma, initially hesitant, acquiesced, interpreting this as a subtle hint towards starting a family, a topic that had always been a sensitive and somewhat contentious issue between them. In the past, Jack's responses to the idea of children had ranged from dismissive to outright anger, leaving a gap in their shared life plans. Now, with her job behind her, Emma thought it the perfect time to revisit the conversation about children, believing that their improved circumstances might have shifted Jack's perspective. However, her hopes were met with the same resistance. Jack's irritation resurfaced at the mention of children. He was deeply engrossed in his career, viewing it as his primary focus and priority. To him, children were not a part of the equation, at least not at this juncture. Confused and hurt, Emma confronted Jack about why he insisted she quit her job if not for starting a family. His response was straightforward yet jarring. He simply wanted her to be at home, managing their domestic life. Emma's discovery of the true reasons behind Jack's reluctance for her to work was imminent. As she sat before the window, she shook her head, breaking free from her daydreams. "Why am I wallowing in self-pity?" she pondered aloud. "I should be proactive." Yet, what could she do? Her days were devoid of tasks. Cleaning was unnecessary, thanks to the weekly service. Cooking was also redundant. Jack seldom dined at home, preferring work and late nights. On the rare occasions he did eat at home, he opted for restaurant deliveries, absolving Emma of meal planning. She nostalgically recalled their less affluent days when her cooking was a daily ritual and Jack never missed her home-cooked meals. But now she questioned if this life of luxury was fulfilling. Jack's recent odd behavior, possibly due to his work commitments, seemed to overshadow their personal life. Hoping to rekindle their connection, Emma decided to surprise him with a home-cooked meal. She phoned his office, requesting he return home early for a house-related matter. A woman's voice answered after several rings. "Hello," the woman spoke. "Hi, may I speak with Jack, please?" Emma requested, unprepared for the ensuing exchange. "Again? This number is for staff, not for unsolicited calls or free consultations. Book an appointment at the clinic," the woman reprimanded. Flabbergasted, Emma wondered who this woman was to admonish her without knowing her identity. "I apologize for the misunderstanding, but this is the number my husband provided. I am his wife," Emma clarified, her tone sharpening. Following an awkward silence, the woman's demeanor softened. "Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize. Jack is unavailable, but I'll inform him of your call." The line went dead. Puzzled, Emma pondered the woman's strange behavior and her presence in Jack's office. If she was a clinic staff member, her conduct was utterly unprofessional. Putting aside her concerns about a possible affair, Emma reached out to her friend Nora for counsel, or, at the very least, some solace. In the evening, Emma arrived at the restaurant where Nora was already seated, eagerly awaiting her arrival. "Emma, I've missed you so much, dear. It's wonderful to see you," Nora exclaimed, her voice bubbling with excitement. Emma smiled warmly at her friend's radiant energy. Nora's vivacious demeanor, brimming with emotion, made her seem youthful. Over dinner, they each enjoyed 2 glasses of wine, while Nora regaled Emma with captivating tales from her life, with Emma listening attentively and finding joy in her friend's stories. As the conversation waned, Nora's expression turned earnest, a rare seriousness in her tone. "I can tell something's bothering you, Emma. Is it health, stress, or is it something with Jack?" she asked gently, her gaze fixed on Emma. Emma felt a blush creep up her cheeks, hoping it went unnoticed by Nora. "It's about Jack," she confessed quietly. "I suspect there might be someone else, but it's just a hunch, nothing concrete." Nora listened intently as Emma detailed Jack's late nights, mysterious phone calls, and his increasingly distant behavior. Voicing her concerns seemed to lighten Emma's burden, but she quickly rationalized, "Maybe I'm overthinking it because I've got too much idle time. I should find a hobby or something productive. I might just be imagining things." Nora, however, didn't offer the expected laughter or reassurance. Instead, she replied solemnly, "Don't dismiss your feelings so quickly. I've always admired your intuition, and it rarely leads you astray." Nora then suggested the idea of hiring a private detective, recommending someone she knew. Emma, conflicted, hesitated at the thought. The idea of spying on Jack felt like a betrayal of the deep trust they had nurtured over the years. Returning home to an empty house, Emma chose not to wait up for Jack. She awoke briefly when he returned late at night, but by morning he had already left. Realizing the futility of trying to connect with him, she sent him a text expressing her love, only to receive a lukewarm response. Her heart heavy, Emma eventually called Nora. "I've been thinking about what you said. Could you give me the contact for that detective? I need to know the truth," she said, her voice laced with determination. Emma promptly contacted the detective, and soon she found herself in his sparsely furnished office. The detective, introduced as George, had a desk adorned only with a thin black folder and a pen. "Pleased to meet you, George," Emma greeted, though she felt out of place. She didn't resemble his usual affluent clientele, appearing more modest and reserved. George, who usually favored wealthier clients, listened attentively as Emma struggled to initiate the conversation. Sensing her discomfort, he gently prompted, "Tell me why you're seeking a detective's services. Let's start there." Taking a deep breath, Emma blurted out, "I need to find out if my husband is being unfaithful." George, accustomed to such requests, managed a faint smile. "That's a common reason for seeking my services," he acknowledged, prepared to help Emma unravel the mystery. Emma took a deep breath and began to talk. She spoke at length, while George wrote everything down without looking at her. When she finished, she fell silent, waiting for the detective's questions. But after a minute, he closed his notebook and said, Excellent. I have no questions for you. You laid everything out clearly. You're very observant. You didn't miss a detail. You told me exactly as much as I need. Nothing superfluous. Emma gave a timid smile. Then we can say goodbye for now. I don't think it will be difficult to find out what you want to know, George continued. Emma climbed into her car, her mind clouded with thoughts and worries, and suddenly remembered that she had completely overlooked Jack's upcoming birthday on Saturday. Embarrassed by her lapse, she pondered how such a significant date had slipped her mind. That day, to her surprise, Jack returned home earlier than usual. Emma greeted him with raised eyebrows. "You're home early today. Is everything all right?" Jack responded with a frown. "Why? Does something unusual have to happen for me to be home on time? An operation got cancelled, that's all." Curious, Emma inquired. "What caused the cancellation?" Jack replied, somewhat irritated. "The patient had complications. We can't proceed with the surgery until she's stable." Emma pressed further. "What kind of complications?" Jack's frustration was evident as he retorted, "Why all the questioning? You wouldn't understand the medical details. Why do you need to know? It feels like an interrogation." Emma felt a sting of hurt. "You used to share things with me. Has something changed? Am I not smart enough to understand? Or are you hiding something?" Jack softened his tone. "It's not about you being smart or not. I'm just exhausted. I work non-stop and barely have any free time. I don't feel like talking much when I get home." "It's not an interrogation, just normal conversation. Aren't we supposed to talk as a family?" Emma responded, trying to keep the peace. Jack remained silent, prompting Emma to change the subject. "Let's not argue. I have something else to ask. Your birthday is this Saturday. Do you have any plans, or will it be just us?" Jack answered. "Actually, I invited some colleagues from the clinic. Owen can't make it, but the others will, so we're having a party." Emma, slightly agitated, asked, "When were you planning on telling me?" "Don't worry, everything's arranged. The food will be catered, and you just need to hire a cleaner," Jack reassured her with a smile. Emma, feeling sidelined from the birthday preparations, decided to focus on getting ready for the event. "How many guests should I expect?" she asked. "Around 15-20, Jack replied nonchalantly. Their conversation ended there, and they retired to bed with a terse "good night," reflecting the current state of their relationship. Determined to look her best for the celebration, Emma visited a beauty salon. She refreshed her hair color, got a trim, chose a vibrant red polish for her nails, and even opted for eyelash extensions, preparing herself not just for the party, but for whatever revelations it might bring. Saturday arrived, and Jack's meticulous planning was evident. Emma, relieved of the burden of organization, found herself amidst the hustle of preparing for the evening. Despite the chaos, it all seemed inconsequential compared to her growing unease. She knew none of the guests. Why had Jack insisted on hosting at home instead of a neutral venue like a restaurant? As guests streamed in, the house buzzed with joyous chatter and the clinking of champagne glasses. Amidst tables adorned with delicacies, Emma, introduced to a few guests by Jack, soon retreated to the bedroom for a brief respite. Gazing at her reflection, she felt overshadowed. Her dress, though elegant, paled beside the lavish ensembles of the other women. Jack's glance, rather than reassuring, seemed to scrutinize her. His only comment, pointed and unsettling, was about her eyes. "I got eyelash extensions," Emma replied, a mix of surprise and defensiveness in her voice. Jack's response was cutting. "They don't suit you. You look overdone, like a figure from an outdated store. Remove them tomorrow." Stung by Jack's harsh words, Emma felt a surge of emotions but maintained her composure. She contemplated a dramatic reaction, discarding her jewelry, tearing off her dress, ruining her carefully styled hair and makeup, and removing the contentious eyelash extensions. But she refrained, not wanting to fuel gossip among Jack's colleagues. Returning to the party, Emma's attention was drawn to a new arrival, a woman whose stunning appearance eclipsed everyone else. Her striking features and bold attire, revealing more skin than concealing, captivated the room, including Jack, who seemed utterly engrossed in conversation with her. Emma's mind raced with questions. Who was this woman? She seemed out of place among Jack's professional circle, more akin to a model than a medical colleague. Later, as the evening wound down, Jack approached Emma with news of a sudden change in plans. A private nightclub celebration, arranged as a surprise by his boss, Owen. Exclusively for company employees, it meant Emma couldn't attend. Dismissed with the excuse that she disliked such venues, Emma was left to ponder the night's unsettling revelations as Jack prepared to depart for the continuation of festivities. Emma's astonishment was palpable as Jack revealed his unexpected plans for a nightclub party, excluding her. "I thought tonight was for us. I have more gifts for you," she said, a hint of hurt in her voice. Jack's reply was dismissive. "I'm with you daily, but opportunities with Owen are rare. Missing this party would insult him. Don't you realize how vital he is to my career? I can't risk losing respect over such a trivial matter. You wouldn't understand these professional nuances." Emma, increasingly frustrated, retorted sharply, "So, you'll just leave me here, waiting all night?" Jack, attempting to pacify her, wrapped his arm around her waist. "Don't overreact. I'll only be there briefly, just to make an appearance. Go rest. You look tired." He departed with a kiss, leaving Emma alone. She tried to remain optimistic, preparing a special welcome for his return. Time ticked by, and by 3 a.m, she succumbed to sleep, Jack still absent. Awoken at 5 and finding Jack still not back, worry set in. His phone was unreachable. Just as she was about to call the clinic, Jack finally appeared. Emma's relief quickly turned to anger. "Where have you been? Why no call? I was worried sick." Jack, unfazed, replied, "Why are you yelling? I was at the club. My phone was off. I didn't want to disturb you. Relax. I'm here now." Her frustration mounting, Emma confronted him. "But you promised you'd return early. A simple call, that's all it would have taken." Jack's response was dismissive. "I got held up. Owen and I were discussing work." Emma, incredulous, snapped back. "What work discussions happen in a nightclub? Do you think I'm a fool?" Her patience had reached its limit. Jack nonchalantly shed his shirt, tossing it onto a chair with a casual air. He flashed a smile and said in a calm tone, "Emma, you seem like you're from another world. You're so edgy. Maybe it's menopause creeping up on you." Emma, taken aback, gazed at her husband. Menopause? But she was only 38, still in the prime of her youth. She closed her eyes, inhaling deeply, striving for composure. Maybe she was overreacting, she thought. Opening her eyes, she forced a smile. "You had me worried," she whispered softly. "I've got a surprise for you. I'm wearing new lingerie tonight." Jack gave her a fleeting look, his eyes filled with a hint of remorse. "Honey, that's incredibly thoughtful. But I'm just too exhausted. Can we take a rain check?" Emma watched him walk away, lingering in silence before retreating to the bedroom. The next morning, she awoke late, the clock striking noon. Jack had already left. Emma sipped some water, considering resting again when her phone's incessant blinking caught her eye. 10 missed calls and 5 messages from George, the detective. 20 minutes later, Emma stepped outside to meet George. A car nearby flashed its headlights and pulled up. Emma slid into the front seat and they headed to an unassuming cafe. George laid out a folder before Emma. Inside were various photos. Emma's hands trembled as she picked one up. It depicted Jack, clad in a white medical coat, at the clinic's entrance with a dark-haired girl. Their easy chatter and Jack's smile were evident. Setting it aside, Emma scrutinized the next photo. The girl, now facing the camera, wore oversized black glasses, her identity obscured. Another photo captured Jack in a restaurant, a solitary red rose beside him, his gaze suggesting he awaited someone. The final photo revealed the truth. In this same cafe, Jack sat opposite the dark-haired woman. Emma recognized her instantly. It was Isabella. Emma raised her eyes to meet the detective's gaze, who was nonchalantly enjoying his breakfast. "She's a colleague at my husband's clinic," she remarked, though it felt redundant. Finishing his bite, the detective took a sip of water and looked at her intently. "She's not a clinic employee," he clarified. Confused, Emma protested, "But she's always with my husband's colleagues." The detective leaned in slightly. "Her name is Isabella. She's actually the clinic owner's wife, not a doctor." A heavy silence enveloped them. Emma's eyes returned to the photo, a storm of emotions brewing within her. This woman, Isabella, had been in their home, and Jack hadn't feared discovery. Breaking the silence, the detective added, "Isabella is 30. She and your husband have been involved for 2 years. He slid another photo across the table. It showed a taxi parked in front of a grand house, with Jack, unmistakable in sunglasses, standing beside it. "What did Jack say yesterday when he left?" he inquired. Emma's voice was a whisper, her eyes fixed on the photo. "He mentioned Owen had planned a surprise, a night out at a club with colleagues." The detective nodded. They did go to a club, but it was Jack who arranged it, not Owen. He left with Isabella an hour later, and they spent the night at a hotel. Emma felt a crushing wave of betrayal from Jack, her partner of many years. "Excuse me," she murmured, rising abruptly from her seat. After composing herself in the restroom, Emma returned, her demeanor calm. "Thank you for your services," she said, slipping on her sunglasses. As she awaited her taxi, Emma's thoughts were consumed with plans of retribution against the man she had loved and trusted. Upon her return, Jack greeted her casually. "Where have you been?" "Just running errands," she replied nonchalantly. Jack informed her of his plans to work and then leave for business, settling at his computer. Emma's mind was made up. Her revenge would unfold once Jack left. The detective had provided her with a flash drive containing all the photos, a key piece in her plan. An hour after Jack retreated to his office, he emerged to take a shower. When he emerged, meticulously perfumed, Emma couldn't help but suspect he was preparing to meet Isabella. Suddenly, every little detail seemed glaringly obvious. Once Jack left, Emma slipped into his office and booted up his computer. She felt armed with a foolproof plan. "It's time to turn the tables, Jack," she muttered to herself, a hint of determination in her voice. She began attaching all the photos of Isabella and Jack to an email, adding Jack's contacts as recipients. Her finger hovered over the send button, but just as she was about to dispatch the email, a wave of hesitation washed over her. Owen's face flashed in her mind. Would this revelation harm him too? Torn, Emma wrestled with her conscience, and finally, with a heavy heart, she deleted the email. Acting swiftly, she dashed out to her car. She had found Owen's number in one of Jack's emails. Dialing the number, she asked Owen to meet her. stressing the urgency. Emma's hands trembled slightly as she clutched her coffee, the steam swirling up like the turmoil inside her. Across the table, Owen, a 55-year-old man with lines of kindness etched into his face, exuded a surprising calm. The ambient noise of the coffee shop seemed to fade into the background as they locked eyes, united by a shared betrayal. "Owen, I'm sorry to meet under these circumstances," Emma began, her voice a mixture of anger and despair. "I recently hired a private detective. And, well, I found out about Jack and Isabella." Emma reached into her bag, pulling out the photographs that confirmed their worst fears. As she slid them across the table, she watched Owen's face, searching for a sign of the shock she felt when she first saw them. Across from her, Owen's expression was a complex tapestry of resignation and faint surprise. He picked up the photos, his hands surprisingly steady. There was Jack and Isabella, Owen's wife, captured in moments of laughter and intimacy. Emma saw the muscles in Owen's jaw clench as he studied the images, a quiet storm brewing in his eyes. "I can't believe Jack would—" Emma's voice trailed off, choked by emotion. She had imagined this moment many times since discovering the truth, but facing Owen, sharing this pain, made it all too real. Owen placed the photographs on the table and sipped his coffee. "I can't believe you're not more upset," Emma said, her voice tinged with a mix of empathy and confusion. Owen's smile was wry, tinged with sadness. "How can I be mad at someone for not loving me?" he replied. "Especially when they've barely shared a bed with me." Emma, taken aback by his candidness, started to speak, but Owen continued, his voice steady, almost therapeutic in its cadence. "6 years ago, life was different," he began. "I was a single father, juggling my career as a surgeon and my responsibilities to Ivy, my little girl. Then Isabella walked into our lives. She was a breath of fresh air in our routine life, hired to clean the house, but quickly becoming so much more." Emma listened, her initial shock giving way to curiosity. "Isabella came from a tough background," Owen continued. "She had struggled a lot, fighting her way through life's harsh realities. When she first played with Ivy, there was an instant connection. She had this nurturing quality that made me think, maybe, just maybe, she could help fill the void my wife's passing left." Emma nodded, understanding the longing in his words. "Love blinds you, you know," Owen said with a small chuckle. 3 years after losing my wife, I was desperate to bring some semblance of happiness back into our home. And Isabella, she seemed perfect." He paused, looking out the window, his gaze distant. "But after we married, things changed. The allure of wealth, the parties, the lifestyle, it drew her in. I guess I was just a stepping stone to a life she aspired for." Emma saw the pain behind his calm demeanor. "You married her for Ivy," she said softly. "Yes, for Ivy," Owen confirmed. "But I was wrong, and now, here we are." There was a heavy silence before Emma spoke up. "Owen, if you want, this could be your chance to start fresh, to get her out of your life." Owen looked at Emma, his eyes reflecting a mix of gratitude and contemplation. "Perhaps," he said, "but it's not just about me. There's Ivy to consider." Emma nodded, understanding the complexity of the situation. "Whatever you decide, just know you're not alone in this," she said earnestly. Emma had spent the entire evening in deep reflection, sifting through the myriad of events that had unfolded in her life. With a newfound clarity, she revisited her past, viewing it through a lens that revealed harsh, unvarnished truths. She now understood that her husband Jack's insistence on her staying at home, masked as concern, was actually rooted in fear. Jack, a man with a narcissistic streak, was intimidated by Emma's innate, hard-working nature and authenticity. He feared that, given the opportunity, she would not only match but eclipse his achievements, exposing his own inadequacies. Furthermore, Emma realized another unsettling truth. Jack's refusal to divorce her, despite a lack of love, was a calculated move to maintain her as a safety net. He saw her as a reliable fallback option, a devoted wife who, blinded by love, would always be there to cushion his falls, no matter the cost to her own well-being. This epiphany shattered Emma's heart. She was overwhelmed by a profound sense of betrayal and sorrow. Years of selfless devotion, of tirelessly supporting her husband to become his best self, all the sacrifices she had willingly made now seemed like a poignant tapestry of lost time and unreciprocated love. As these realizations sank in, Emma wept silently, mourning not just for what her marriage had been, but for what it could never be. Owen found himself engaging in a profound conversation with his daughter, Ivy. Despite her young age, Ivy possessed a keen intellect, making her more than capable of grappling with complex issues. Owen initiated the dialogue with a gentle preamble, explaining that people, including those we hold dear, can sometimes change, revealing sides of themselves that were previously hidden. Ivy listened, her youthful face etched with confusion, unable to fathom the reason behind her father's solemn tone. Delving deeper, Owen revealed the painful truth about Isabella, Ivy's stepmother. He confessed that Isabella's feelings for him had waned, and that she yearned to be with someone else. This revelation struck a chord in Ivy's heart, causing it to fracture with sorrow. Isabella had been a constant presence in her life, a figure she had grown accustomed to and fond of over the 6 years they had lived together as a family. However, as Owen continued, Ivy's thoughts drifted, piecing together past events. She recalled a significant change in Isabella's demeanor, particularly when she began suggesting the idea of hiring a babysitter or nanny for Ivy. This, Ivy now realized, was a subtle indication of Isabella's shifting priorities and affections, a prelude to the eventual unraveling of the family dynamic she had come to know and cherish. Emma received an unexpected call from Owen the following day. As they conversed, a smile gradually lit up Emma's face upon hearing Owen's plan. It was straightforward but ingenious. Isabella's birthday was approaching, and she had informed Owen of her supposed plans to visit her mother. However, Owen was skeptical, suspecting that she would actually be spending time with Jack instead. Owen's request to Emma was a daring one. He asked her to discreetly obtain access to Jack's credit card history, hoping it would shed light on the true nature of Isabella's plans. Emma, tapping into a mix of resourcefulness and determination, managed to uncover a telling piece of evidence. She discovered that Jack had made a reservation at a secluded guest house, coinciding precisely with the date of Isabella's birthday. Armed with this information, Owen took decisive action. He booked another room at the same guest house, but his reservation was for 3 people: himself, Emma, and Ivy. 3 days before their much-anticipated trip to the quaint guest house nestled in the countryside, Owen decided it was time for a special introduction. Under the golden hue of the late afternoon sun, he led Emma to a small, vibrant playground where his daughter, Ivy, was merrily swinging. Ivy, a bright-eyed 9-year-old with a cascade of curly hair, had a spirit that sparkled with curiosity. As she noticed them approaching, her feet skidded across the sandy ground, slowing the swing to a stop. "Emma, this is Ivy," Owen said, his voice tinged with a hint of nervous excitement. "Ivy, Emma is a very good friend of mine." Ivy tilted her head, studying Emma with wide, inquisitive eyes. "Hi, Emma. Do you like swings? Do you like ice cream? Have you ever seen a shooting star?" The questions tumbled out in a breathless stream. Emma chuckled, charmed by the child's enthusiastic barrage. "Hi, Ivy. I do like swings, and ice cream is my favorite. And yes, I've seen a shooting star once. It was magical." Ivy's gaze flickered between Emma and her father, sensing the unspoken undercurrents. "Daddy says you're sad like he was. Did someone break a promise to you too?" Owen's eyes widened slightly, a gentle reminder of the innocence with which children perceive the world's complexities. "Ivy, remember we talked about how sometimes people's feelings get hurt?" Ivy nodded, a serious expression replacing her earlier exuberance. She hopped off the swing and approached Emma, her small hands hesitantly reaching out. "I'm sorry you're sad. When I'm sad, hugs make it better. Can I give you a hug?" Emma felt a surge of warmth as she knelt down to Ivy's level. The world seemed to pause as Ivy wrapped her tiny arms around her. The rush of blood in Emma's body was replaced by a calming tide of affection and connection. "Thank you, Ivy," Emma whispered, her voice thick with emotion. She held the child close, feeling the sincerity and compassion that only a child's embrace could convey. As they parted, Ivy looked up with a smile that held a wisdom beyond her years. "You can have my hug whenever you're sad, okay?" Emma smiled back, her heart swelling with gratitude. In that moment, Ivy's simple, heartfelt gesture had bridged the gap between two souls, offering a silent promise of healing and understanding. On the morning of Isabella's birthday, the air was thick with unspoken words as Jack fidgeted in the kitchen, his gaze avoiding Emma's. He cleared his throat, a forced casualness in his tone. "I just got a call, Emma. There's an important doctor's meeting out of state. I need to leave today and might be gone for a few days." Emma, stirring her coffee, didn't miss a beat. She had anticipated this, the predictable pattern of his excuses now all too familiar. She turned, her expression artfully crafted into one of disappointment. "Oh, that's unfortunate. I was hoping we could spend these days somewhere special, maybe in nature, a cozy guest house perhaps." The mention of the guest house struck a nerve in Jack. His heart skipped a beat, his casual demeanor faltering for a split second before he masked it with laughter. "You always come up with the most intriguing ideas, Emma," he said, trying to maintain his composure. "I'll definitely think about that." As Jack grabbed his coat and walked out, his mind raced. A guest house? What a coincidence, he thought, a mixture of amusement and unease playing on his features. That was too close for comfort. What Jack failed to realize was the depth of Emma's perceptiveness. She wasn't just idly musing about a getaway. She watched him leave, a small, knowing smile playing on her lips. She was teasing him, playing a subtle game, drawing him out. This wasn't a random suggestion. It was a deliberate move in their intricate dance of truths and lies. Emma gazed out the window, her eyes reflecting a quiet resolve. She understood the game far better than Jack realized, and she was not just a passive player. In her mind, a plan was taking shape, one that would unfold in the serenity of a guest house amidst nature's undisturbed beauty. Emma, Owen and Ivy arrived at the guest house in the evening. Owen recognized Jack and Isabella's cars. They checked in their room and Owen casually asked about a couple that came in those cars, saying that they were someone they knew. The receptionist replied that they had arrived not long ago and were still in their rooms. While in their room, Owen offered a plan to go and greet them. "So, we just walk in there and act surprised?" Emma asked. "Exactly. We keep it light, maybe even a bit playful," Owen replied. Ivy was excited. She wanted to be part of it. "Can I say something too?" she asked. "Of course, honey." They stood up, their faces a blend of nerves and resolve. They walked towards Jack and Isabella's room. Owen knocked. After a brief pause, Jack opened the door, his face turning pale upon seeing them. Jack stammered, "Emma, Owen, what are you—" Emma feigned surprise. "Jack! What a coincidence meeting you here. And on Isabella's birthday, no less." Owen peered in and mocked the toast gesture. "Happy birthday, Isabella. Fancy seeing you here." Isabella, caught off guard, stood up from the couch, her expression a mix of shock and guilt. She quickly put on her jacket and got really nervous. "Owen, Emma, I didn't expect to see you here." Ivy looked at her innocently. "Did you guys come here to play hide and seek? Because you're really good at hiding." The room filled with an awkward laughter, but the tension was palpable. Emma's eyes met Jack's, a storm brewing in their depths. Suddenly, Emma's voice hardened. "Let's cut the act. We know about you two." Jack and Isabella exchanged a panicked look. Jack frantically said, "Emma, I can explain." But Owen didn't let him finish. "Save it, Jack. We're not here for excuses." By this point, Isabella was already in crocodile tears. "I'm so sorry, Owen. I never meant for things to go this far." Emma laughed bitterly. "And yet, they did. You both made your choices." Jack looked down, unable to meet Emma's gaze, while Isabella continued sobbing. Owen looked at them with his stern eyes. "We deserve better than lies and betrayal. You've both broken our trust." Ivy looked up at Emma and Owen. "Are you guys going to be okay?" Emma knelt down, hugging Ivy. "We will be, sweetheart. Sometimes we have to face hard truths to find our way forward." Owen nodded, placing a hand on Ivy's shoulder, a silent vow of strength and unity in the face of betrayal. Emma stood up, her voice firm. "This is where we say goodbye. We deserve honesty and respect, and it's clear we won't find that with you." Emma and Owen, with Ivy between them, turned and walked out of the room, leaving Jack and Isabella in a stunned silence. After the day's unexpected revelations and confrontations, Owen sought a peaceful retreat. He found a serene hot springs place tucked away in the nearby woods. The soothing waters under the starlit sky provided a much-needed respite for them. As they drove back to the guest house, the car was filled with a comfortable silence, the kind that comes after shared experiences and unspoken understandings. They arrived back late, the night embracing the world in its quietude. Ivy, her eyelids heavy with sleep, tugged gently at Emma's hand. "Emma, can I sleep with you tonight? Will you tell me a bedtime story?" Emma's heart swelled with a tender warmth. "Of course, Ivy. I'd love that." In the coziness of the guest room, Ivy snuggled under the covers as Emma sat beside her, embarking on a whimsical tale of distant lands and brave heroes. Ivy's eyes fluttered closed long before the story reached its end, her breathing deep and even in the tranquility of sleep. Owen, having ensured his daughter was comfortable, retired to the adjoining room. He had thoughtfully booked a 2-bedroom suite, considering the need for space and privacy. That night, the gentle rhythm of their breaths filled the rooms. The hot springs had worked their magic, lulling them into a deep, restful sleep. They slept soundly, each lost in a world of dreams where the day's troubles seemed distant and muffled. The next morning, the sun streamed through the windows, casting a warm glow over the guest house. Owen, Emma, and a sleepy-eyed Ivy made their way down to the dining area for breakfast. As they walked through the guest house corridor, a sudden commotion outside drew their attention. Through the large bay window, they could see Jack and Isabella in the midst of a heated argument. Isabella's voice, sharp and strained, cut through the morning calm. "This is all because of your selfish desires, Jack. Now even Owen is ignoring me. Do you realize what you've done?" Jack, his expression a mix of frustration and regret, tried to interject. but Isabella's anger was palpable. "Isabella, please, let's not do this here," Jack said. Isabella cut him off. "No, Jack, I won't be silenced. You promised this would be our secret, but look where we are now." Isabella, feeling the weight of Owen's stern message, hesitated to approach Ivy or Owen. The message from Owen was unequivocal. He demanded that she cease all contact with him and Ivy. He had made it clear that any attempt to reconnect would result in the withdrawal of a significant sum of money he had recently transferred to her, intended as a final gesture of support. Fearful of losing this financial safety net, Isabella restrained herself, despite any conflicting emotions she might have harbored. In his message, Owen had expressed his initial hopes when he welcomed Isabella into his life. He had envisioned a future where they, together with Ivy, would form a contented, unified family. However, Isabella's preferences for younger men and grander ambitions had steered her on a different path. With a mix of resignation and defiance, Owen told her to pursue her desires, effectively closing the chapter of their shared life. When Isabella relayed the details of her conversation with Owen to Jack, it left him in a state of apprehension. Aware of Owen's firm stance and the potential repercussions, Jack was wary of making any direct contact with Owen. His concern was not just personal. His professional stability was at stake, as he was fearful of losing his job. Jack found himself in a predicament, scrambling to devise a plausible explanation for his actions. The tense atmosphere between Isabella and Jack reached a crescendo after the heated argument. In a moment of decisive action, Jack made his way to the dining area where Emma, Ivy, and Owen were seated. When Owen saw Jack, he requested Emma and Ivy to step outside for a brief walk, signaling the gravity of the conversation that was about to unfold. Alone with Jack, Owen listened intently to his side of the story. Jack admitted to his error in judgment, acknowledging that he had been drawn into a relationship with the younger Isabella. He characterized it as a mistake, a lapse in his moral compass. However, his explanation and remorse did little to sway Owen. Owen, maintaining a cool and detached manner, delivered his verdict with unflinching clarity. He reminded Jack of the opportunity he had been given, a well-paying job and Owen's trust, only to have that trust betrayed. Owen expressed that he might have been more understanding had it been a one-time transgression, followed by genuine remorse. However, the prolonged nature of Jack's affair with Isabella left no room for leniency. "You're fired, Jack," Owen stated unequivocally. His voice was calm yet resolute, a clear indication that his decision was final. "I hired you, gave you a great salary, and you spat in my face. I would understand if this was something that happened once and you realized your mistake and stopped. But no, you've been with my wife for a long time, Jack. You're fired. I wish you nothing but good luck," he concluded. With these words, Owen turned away, leaving Jack to grapple with the consequences of his actions. He rejoined Emma and Ivy outside, closing the chapter on a painful and tumultuous episode in their lives. Life took everyone on their separate paths. Emma, with a determined heart, packed her belongings and vacated the house she once shared with Jack. She left behind photographs and mementos of their time together. Jack watched in silence, a mix of emotions flickering in his eyes. As Emma reached the door, she paused, offering Jack a final, meaningful look. "I hope you find the right path, Jack. Good luck," she said, her voice tinged with a bittersweet hope. In that moment, Jack experienced a poignant realization. Emma, with her grace and strength, had been the cornerstone of his life. Now, he had lost her forever. Emma exited, her posture neither defeated nor proud. Despite the pain of their divorce, she refused to succumb to despair. Instead, she embraced her newfound freedom, likening herself to a bird released from its cage. She had secured a modest apartment using her modest savings and soon found employment at a local nursery. Meanwhile, Isabella swiftly took Emma's place in Jack's life, arriving at his doorstep unannounced. With nowhere else to go, she blamed Jack for her predicament, claiming Owen had ousted her. Jack, feeling cornered, reluctantly let her in. Their relationship, built on the foundations of an affair, was tumultuous and short-lived. Frequent arguments over mundane tasks like dishwashing highlighted their incompatibility. They soon realized their attraction was superficial, confined to the excitement of their illicit romance. Jack's reputation in the medical community had taken a hit. Finding work became a struggle. He grudgingly accepted a position in a public hospital, a place he once held in contempt. Isabella, living off the last of Owen's financial support, quickly burned through her funds with her extravagant lifestyle. Now, she faced the daunting task of seeking employment. Owen, too, found solace in this new chapter. Liberated from Isabella's manipulative charm, he discovered that his fear of loneliness had blinded him to the toxicity of their relationship. He felt a surprising sense of relief. However, young Ivy grappled with these changes. Isabella's absence, despite her lack of maternal influence, left a strange void in Ivy's life, stirring feelings of confusion and loss in the child. Owen's efforts to comfort Ivy with gifts and toys only provided fleeting solace. She would soon return to a state of apparent loneliness, but Owen was overlooking a crucial detail. Ivy wasn't lonely. She was troubled by her father's own distress. Often, Owen would sit in the kitchen, his shoulders slumped, lost in his thoughts. Ivy, deeply attuned to her father's emotions, could sense his inner turmoil. One day, Ivy suggested they cook a special dinner at home instead of dining out, a rarity for them. Owen, touched by this unexpected request, agreed with a warm smile. That afternoon, they enjoyed a bonding experience, shopping and cooking together. The joy of preparing a meal with his daughter lifted Owen's spirits. As they were setting the table, the doorbell rang, interrupting the cozy atmosphere. With a look of concern, Owen and Ivy exchanged glances. Not expecting visitors, Owen removed his apron and went to answer the door. To his surprise, he found Emma standing outside, her expression filled with worry. Emma inquired about their well-being, particularly Ivy's. Owen, puzzled, assured her that everything was fine and invited her in. Emma then revealed the reason for her visit. She had received a text message, supposedly from Owen, expressing urgent concern for Ivy. Owen denied sending any such message, leading to a mutual confusion. While Emma showed Owen the message on her phone, Ivy, oblivious to the unfolding situation, continued to hum a song and set a third plate on the table. Moments later, Owen and Emma entered the kitchen, the mystery of the message hanging in the air. Ivy's nonchalant invitation for Emma to join them at the dinner table, as if her presence was entirely expected, brought a smile to Owen's face. He soon realized that it was Ivy who had sent the message from his phone, cleverly orchestrating Emma's arrival. Despite her young age, Ivy was astutely observant and deeply caring. She had sensed her father's yearning for familial warmth and companionship since his separation from Isabella. Recognizing the subtle connection between Owen and Emma, Ivy believed Emma could fill the emotional void in their lives. Owen, a man of simplicity and humility, had always prioritized Ivy's happiness above all else. Now, in a tender reversal of roles, his young daughter was looking out for him. The dinner they shared was filled with laughter and reminiscence, especially when Ivy entertained them with humorous imitations of her teachers and classmates. After the meal, feigning sleepiness, Ivy hugged Owen and then Emma. Looking earnestly into Emma's eyes, she expressed her wish for Emma to stay, not just for the night, but indefinitely. Emma's heart was touched by Ivy's sincere request. She looked at Owen, whose expression transformed into a mix of surprise and delight at his daughter's intuitive matchmaking. Owen and Emma spent the evening deeply engrossed in conversation, and Owen graciously offered Emma the guest room while he slept on the sofa. The following morning heralded a new chapter for Owen and Ivy. They awoke to the sounds of breakfast preparations. In the kitchen, they found Emma already up, making sandwiches for Ivy's school day. Owen's heart warmed at the prospect of this fresh start. Fast forward 5 years, the scene at the playground was a testament to their joyous family life. 14-year-old Ivy played with her 4-year-old brother Chris in the sandbox of the kindergarten, a testament to the loving family they had become, fostered with Emma's involvement and Owen's unwavering support. This was a family built on understanding, care, and a serendipitous twist of fate, orchestrated by a young girl's insightful heart. As Emma's pregnancy progressed and she was in the hospital for her delivery, Isabella visited Owen's clinic, but this time with a different purpose. She was there to collect a recommendation letter. This encounter was a testament to the new chapter in Emma and Owen's life, one where they chose not only to forgive their former partners, but also to support their betterment. Embracing this philosophy, Emma had inspired Isabella to value education, recognizing her youthful potential as a stepping stone for a promising career. Influenced by Emma's strength and success, Isabella chose to heed this advice. Simultaneously, Owen extended a helping hand to Jack by contacting a colleague who managed a clinic in another state, thereby securing a position for Jack. This gesture of kindness was warmly appreciated by Jack, who himself had experienced a considerable personal transformation. Owen, Emma, Ivy, and their latest family member, Chris, settled harmoniously into a charming, cozy house on the town's outskirts. Reducing his workload at the clinic, Owen now devoted more time to his family and supported Emma in managing the kindergarten. This choice underscored his dedication to his family's well-being and his backing of Emma's initiatives. Their lives, woven together through acts of forgiveness and mutual support, marked a significant shift from a past riddled with challenges to a present brimming with love, understanding, and shared growth. Once a fragmented family, they had transformed into a beacon of unity and new beginnings, embodying the essence of compassion and the beauty of second chances.